Our speaker is an epitome of a Lasallian student achiever. She graduated with honorable mention in the ladderized Bachelor of Science in Applied Economics and Master of Science in Economics program. She was the champion of the 8th Economics International ASEAN competition held at the University of Indonesia. She was given the Best Presenter Award by the American Chamber of Commerce in the American Chamber of Commerce Business Orientation Program in 2011. Procter & Gamble also named her as one of the DLSU Student Excellence Awardees. She is a committed and inspiring student leader. As the University Student Government President during the centennial year, she spearheaded numerous projects and initiatives that spread the Lasallian values of faith, service, and communion and mission. She competently represented the student body in various multi-sectoral committees and councils, both inside and outside the university. As an affirmation of her excellence in academics and leadership, she was given the Gawad Francisco Ortigas Most Outstanding Student Leader Award and Student Leadership Award. Ladies and gentlemen, a lady who embodies the true characteristics of a Lasallian achiever for God and country, a servant leader, and a star scholar, Ms. Camille Angela Marie Aquino.
Thank you, Ms. Christie, for that kind introduction, and thank you all for the honor of giving the response today. Chairperson of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Jose P. Pardo, University President and Chancellor, Brother Ricardo P. Lagura, FSC, distinguished administrators, De La Salle brothers, esteemed faculty and staff, our dear parents, guests, and my fellow graduates of the class of 2012, good morning. They say that a woman never reveals her true age. But let me break the rules now and reveal to you all that I am at least 2 years older than the undergraduate class graduating today. No, I did not fail my accounting classes 10 times, and no, I did not shift more than 3 times. But instead, I enrolled in a ladderized program that allowed me to finish with a bachelor's and a master's degree, but meant that I had to finish much later than my batchmates. Despite the feeling that I felt of being prehistoric at times, being older actually has its benefits. It is similar to having a cheat sheet or an old test, with which I could review the questions ahead of time in order to anticipate the new ones. It means that my contemporaries have already gone ahead of me and have made the hard choices that I am still about to make. Being older means that while I am on the verge of deciding what to do with my life, I have friends who can tell me what it's going to be like 2 years from now. One of my friends, a smart student and former president of an organization in the South, now works in a foreign bank and is successfully surpassing her monthly quotas every month. But despite doing well and earning an enviable salary in only under a year, she is secretly planning her resignation due to feelings of being irrelevant and of not doing anything particularly meaningful. Another friend who claims to be the unexceptional and underachieving student resorted to teaching because frankly he said he didn't know what else to do. Though others see his profession as noble, he is constantly looking to the other side of the fence, wishing he could do something other than what he's doing today. Several other friends of mine who couldn't wait to get out of college then, and who are working in different fields now, are one by one enrolling in graduate school, law school, culinary school, pilot school, or any other school, hoping to find what seems to be the missing link in their lives. These are stories from real people, friends I knew in college, who shared these not to scare me, but to help me make better decisions at this point in my life. What is causing this disconnect between my friends and finding fulfillment in their work? True, there is pressure after graduation to find a job, because let's face it, we all knew our allowances weren't going to last forever. This year alone, 800,000 graduates will enter the labor force in the Philippines, and with the 1,300 in this room alone, job searching is certainly not a joke. But even after finding stable work, one wonders why a lot of young people are still itching to find new jobs in less than 2 years. Even when they succeed at their work, which Lasallians often do, why do they question their relevance and their contribution? In preparing for this response, I watched the commencement speeches of well-known individuals like Steve Jobs, Neil Gaiman, and J.K. Rowling, and most of them warned against living convenient and conventional lives without passion or purpose. Maybe this is what my friends meant when they were telling me their experiences. Maybe this is the insight that we will realize only after we've made our choices. That no matter what we choose to do, in order to have relevance in this world, more than just surviving, we have to have meaning. As it turns out, the biggest challenge of our generation today is not merely survival, but meaning. When we say it often enough, it becomes confusing and almost vague. It could mean having a purpose or a calling, but saying so doesn't solve the hard questions like, how do you find a purpose if you don't have one? If you do have a purpose, how do you gather the courage to stand up for it? Or if you have too many callings, how can you choose? Since I don't yet have the fullness of experience to tell you what meaning is, I'll tell you instead what I think it isn't. I used to think that finding meaning meant having a position in the university, whether it be a varsity, cultural, professional organization, or in the student government. A position was important because it meant that we had the responsibility to serve our community. Believing this, I ran for student government because I wanted a reason to be relevant. But then tragedies happened in the country like Ondoy and Sendo, and all of a sudden, hundreds of Lasallians also willingly wanted to help, even without a position. Later on, I noticed that even when there were no big calamities, there were still individuals called love volunteers who were helping out not just for 1 or 2 days when everybody else was doing it, but again and again throughout the year, even when it wasn't the in thing to do. This could mean only one thing, that they had found meaning in helping others, even when they didn't have to. Another misconception I used to have is that I used to think finding meaning meant doing something great. I used to admire people smiling back in proudly Lasallian frames who seemed to know what their purpose was and who had already made an impact in society. Surely they had meaning. As I aged in LaSalle and people around me kept graduating, my constant friends became the familiar faces I saw every day. Our janitors, asset kuya guards, secretary, staff, and discipline officers around DLSU. Unlike my batchmates and friends, these people never left me. I got to know them more and then asked them for help in doing our projects. I then maintained those friendships after. I have since gained a deeper appreciation for them and for what they do. For years, even decades, they've stayed in LaSalle and have been doing the same work that they practically memorized and can do with their eyes closed. When my friends can barely stomach a job for 2 years, I wondered what made them stay. Then I realized it wasn't just about having a job, but about what they believed their job meant to the Lasallian community. No matter how big or small their contribution was, because they believed they played a part and that that part mattered in the bigger scheme of things, they were happy to stay for as long as they could. I realized that they had chosen to stay because they had found meaning in their work, with or without recognition. Finally, I thought that finding meaning had to be done on my own. I thought that I needed an epiphany or an aha moment as a result of hours spent reflecting on the Bible, self-help guides, or on The Secret. But being active in DLSU taught me something different. Most of us at some point have been active in organizations. No matter what org we were from, one of our biggest problems was and always will be, how can we get students to participate? Our biggest struggle was how to convince students to attend this talk because the speaker's really famous, or to buy this t-shirt since all the hottest athletes are wearing it, or to go to this party since you're going to get plus points in your final grade, plus it's for a good cause anyway. No one has ever found a foolproof solution for this, and I don't think anyone ever will. But it's okay, because I've realized that it's not the main point. No matter how many students attended our events, how publicized they became, or how much money we made, what mattered to us most was that we had a vision of what we could do and that we worked together to make even a part of it happen. This is what kept us going. Despite frustrations and disappointments, it wasn't just about the end, but about doing something together. Student organizations champion the truth that finding meaning doesn't have to happen alone. And for some, it can only be found by working with others. I am blessed to have had 5.5 full years of experiences in DLSU, and these have taught me more effectively about meaning than reading a book or spending hours alone reflecting. I've learned that we have to have faith that each of us has a meaning in this world, no matter how remarkable or commonplace, grand or inconspicuous, complex or simple. None of us is because none of us are individually sufficient, but each of us is necessary to the solution. Although we can't do everything, we need faith to believe that there is still meaning in doing something. And that when we do our part, ultimately, no matter what it is, our lives will be relevant. Even when we live in a world where people have grown used to being selfish and uncaring, we can still find meaning in making someone else's life better off. Because when we put ourselves in the service of others, the natural instinct of man for sharing and compassion is unlocked. And in doing so, we can unlock our own meaning as well. Lastly, we must trust that to achieve the truly great things in life, we must work together. Be they friends, family, or strangers, when we work together, we set a collective vision and we work towards this in communion, ultimately realizing that in everything, the meaning was not in the end, but in the journey after all. Come to think of it, maybe this is what they mean by faith, service, and communion. Thank you, Salle University, because more than giving us an academic education, you have set the stage and became the background for us to learn how to find meaning in this world. As we set foot on uncertain paths, trust that we have everything we need to live relevant lives. Because we know that through every role or part we choose to play, through people we strive to help, and through friends that we choose to ally and fight with, we can and we will find our meaning. To all the graduates, we must not forget those who have shaped these experiences. Let us look at our favorite teachers, mentors, and friends, people we saw almost every day in the Salle, but whom we will no longer see after today. Every word of wisdom, pat on the back, scolding, or simple presence alone led to the people we are now. You have all been our educators and formators, and we thank you, not with grand words or higher salaries, but with our lives, which we will live with respect for everyone and integrity. Next, let us find our parents and families, wherever they may be, and give them a silent look of thanks. Because there are no words that will ever adequately describe what they have given us. And one day when we have our own families, we will find meaning in being parents as well, because of the way they raised us. Now look at each other, at your blockmates, orgmates, and friends who have been with you throughout different parts of your journey. These people have listened to you rant about your grades, love life, and career. These are the real comrades who will continue to live and find meaning with you here on out. Lastly, let's take a moment to pause and lift a silent prayer of thanks to God or whomever you believe in for bringing us to this moment. This moment, as with all of our lives, has been a gift. And what an incredible one it has been. Congratulations and thank you.